From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, it's Just the Tip-Sters with Melissa Morgan.
Certified freak 7 days a week.
If you've got a tip for Melissa, a mysterious sound you hear every night in your backyard, a tantalizing tidbit the noisy neighbor gossiped about, why Huey Lewis's band never actually gave us any news, tell us about it by calling the Tipster hotline at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837, or send an email to jttipsters@gmail.com. You just might hear your tip on the podcast. And now here's your host, proud, righteous, and unashamed, unless it's the Isle of Shame at Aldi, Melissa Morgan.
More cowbell. I am ashamed of many things in my life.
But you're not ashamed of the Isle of Shame at Aldi.
I'm really not. I enjoy that. There is a hundreds of thousands of member Facebook group called the Aldi Isle of Shame.
Which shocked me. I had no idea.
Yeah, there are a lot more Facebook pages out there than you and I can even imagine.
Holy cow, are there ever?
The evil tipster Beth introduced me to the Isle of Shame, and I have taken great joy in introducing several friends of mine. Aldi is an interesting store. Apparently the two German brothers that started it also have another store called Lidl. I thought it was Lidl or Little, but it's
I didn't know that.
Lidl. Maybe it's Little. And also they now own Trader Joe's. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, they've owned Trader Joe's for quite a while
For a long time.
Yeah.
So I have some very fancy friends who call what is available at Aldi welfare food.
Oh, my.
But I don't necessarily think of it that. Not all of it tastes great, but not all of the shit you get at Kroger tastes great either. But why are you laughing?
It just sounded funny.
I mean, welfare food?
No, it's like they got food, and not all of it tastes great, but they got food.
Yeah, they do have food. No, but some of it is good, and some of it is great, greatly reduced in price, and some of it's just, regular old shit, whatever.
I think a lot of it is just like, stuff that's been discontinued, and they're selling it at
Potentially,
Aldi.
yeah.
But like last night, or a couple nights ago, we had tacos, and you bought some tortilla shells there, some taco shells that were the best taco shells we've ever had.
Thank you for saying that, Producer Mark. I meant to thank some awful women on the Aldi Isle of Shame Facebook page because, yes, sir. I'm not like a really good cook, and I don't have a huge repertoire, but I try to change things up the best I can, especially during the wonderful lockdown where I have to cook more. Poor Producer Mark. And one of the...
She cooks just fine.
I don't. I'm terrible. I'm absolutely awful. I hate it. It's terrible. But we both love tacos. So we try to have tacos one night a week. And during the, not that it ever happened, meat shortage, Producer Mark got 2 giant rolls of ground beef because he thought it was...
They were 10-pound rolls.
Yeah, he thought it was 10 pounds total, but it was fucking 20 pounds of ground beef. Anyway, we have more ground beef than we'll ever know what to do with. So we make tacos once a week for, 20 weeks. And I'm extraordinarily picky. I like a specific sauce, a taco seasoning, a specific taco sauce, and specific taco shells. And they're from 3 different companies because they all don't make one thing. There's, those old El Paso kits you can get where you have X amount of soft shells, X amount of hard shells, and some seasoning. And their seasoning tastes like butthole. So I throw their seasoning away. I use the Lowry's taco seasoning. I use the old El Paso shells, and I use the Ortega sauce. So I use 3 different.
That's all right. You're supporting the economy.
Yeah, I'm buying a bunch of stuff, a bunch of separate things. However, someone posted on the Aldi Isle of Shame, I think it's called Mi Casita, like M-I...
my house.
Yeah, my house. Mi Casita crunchy taco shells, and they are remarkably delicious, like nothing I've ever seen.
They're thinner than the El Paso
and yet
ones.
Not one broken.
No, they weren't broken, and they held together. Even after you bite into the taco,
yes,
they held together, and they were thinner. They were
crispy,
crispier.
delicious.
Yeah, they were really good,
flavorful. Mark was like, "Where are these made?" And I look on the box, and it says blah-de-blah, Illinois, and then it says at the bottom, product of Mexico. So they were distributed by Aldi in Illinois, but they're actually made in Mexico, and it's like some
they are
fantastic,
authentic.
Authentico. is like a fantastic woman shows up at your house and makes you crispy taco shells and hands them to you. There wasn't one. It's never happened in a box of Old El Paso taco kit. There's always broken shells, and they're terrible. I mean, whatever.
They taste fine.
They're fine,
but they break.
They're a crap. They're just crappy. These Mi Casita from Aldi are the best taco shells I've ever had, and not one broken one. I mean, and this is my favorite part. I don't typically buy a lot of food at Aldi. I buy their mozzarella and some olives. I buy stuff like that. And some of their produce
and then
is
you buy
just
a
fine.
lot of stuff on the Isle of Shame.
On the Isle of Shame. I buy things for home decor and yard decor, and I love the Isle of Shame. And I'm in the Isle of Shame looking at their taco plates that are separated so you can stand up tacos. And I was like, we already have some, but all right, these are on sale. I'll get. And a sweet woman next to me goes, did you see these? And I was like, what? And they're little cactus-shaped taco holders. And I said, no, I did not. So I put back the taco plates and bought, 16 of the...
Yeah, way more than we need.
For parties.
But they're tiny little
cute.
things.
They're green cactus-shaped taco holders, and they're magnificent. You can use your own plate instead of those molded plastic taco plates that are redonkulous and not, convenient for your stand-up shells. And producer Mark made a very valid point when we had dinner this last week with our taco shells. He said, these holders are great. I can take a bite, put my taco back down, and it's not going to fall apart. I mean, they really are. And they were like $2.99 or something. They're magnificent. So
they were $2.99 each?
No, for 4.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
They're great, but they weren't worth $2.99 each.
It was like $2.99 for 4.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, less than $1 each. They're my new boyfriends.
If you come to our house for taco night, you will get a cool little cactus
You'll
shape.
have your own, set of, how many ever tacos you want, cactus shaped taco holders that are just, I am, always amazed at the ingenuity of people who do things like this, but those that design specific food holders, you have a special place in my heart. Really, I'm very grateful.
That's kind of...
weird.
Unique.
Unique, thank you. I appreciate that. That's, as I said in the intro, certified freak, 7 days a week. Thank you, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. So, I have a list of thank yous, a really nice list of thank yous this week. So we have some wonderful reviews. Ann Cal, I think maybe she's from California, or maybe that's just her name, but altogether Ann Cal on Apple Podcasts. Christine Glenn and Tipster Tammy. Tipster Tammy rejiggered her review, and it went up further up the list, and it was so sweet and kind. And Anne found us from the wonderful podcast Fresh Hell and said she was glad that she heard about us from Fresh Hell and was happy to have found us, which makes us even more happy. And Christine Glenn wrote a lovely review. We're really grateful for those of you that take the time to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we have some new YouTube subscribers, which, God bless you people. Nat, Paula, and Helen, thank you for subscribing. And we have 2 new patrons for the Patreon page, Debbie and Tim, who are wonderful human beings, and they're getting their swag that will be mailed out in a few days. So you'll be getting your tipster swag.
And producer Mark is going to do the producer thing and remind everybody that you can go to Patreon, patreon.com / Just The Tip-Sters. And there's different levels of subscription. You can subscribe for as little as $2 a month. And you get stuff. We send you stuff.
We do.
It's very cool.
We do send stuff. And we're really grateful, like I said, for those who have left reviews this week, for those of you who are, listening on YouTube, and for our patrons. We really, there wouldn't be an us without you. So thank you for everything all of you have done for us this week. It's been a good week in that way, and it's a crappy week in that I can't believe we're still here. So tomorrow is the 40th anniversary of Randy Sellers going missing, and I can't believe we're still here. I can't believe we're still here. So this is the third episode that we have on Randy. We have two previous that you can hear. One from last February where we interview a detective who had the case at the time, and the update in January of this year where I explained what happened last September when I went to Kentucky and did some snooping. So there's a few more pieces of information we have now. None of it makes me any happier. None of it is going to be helpful from where I'm sitting, but I'm hoping that maybe some of this information is going to be helpful to somebody within the sound of my voice, because there is zero reason at this point, for Randy's case to still be this much of a mystery. There's just no excuse for 40 years later, a 17-year-old boy, not a man yet, a boy, having gone missing. And the things that have made it worse are that the last people to have seen him, other than his killers, unless they are his killers, are the police. And a really awful serial killer took credit for killing Randy. And I just don't believe that that's even a possibility anymore at this point. And I will explain why again. So let's go over what we know. Randy Sellers, 17 years old, lives in Morning View, Kentucky with his mom and stepdad and his younger brother. He, is a real regular kid. He may have been in some trouble, not a lot to do where I grew up. It's, it was rural, and where Randy grew up was even more rural. Not a lot to do. He got into kid trouble. He didn't get into big, badass, gang trouble. He was a kid. So he was going half a day to, a more technical school and half a day to regular school. And he, it's August. It's a few weeks before his 18th birthday. It's the summer in northern Kentucky, and there's the Kenton County Fair. And you get to walk around and see your friends and be a kid, for God's sake, be a kid. So Randy is at the Kenton County Fair. He gets into a scuffle with another youth, and the Kenton County police are either probably on patrol or they are called, but they arrest Randy for public intoxication, drunk and disorderly. And the car that picks him up does not have a screen between the front and back seat. It's 1980. It's probably an older car, from the 70s. Who knows? I don't know. But I do know that he took a swing at one of the officers. And I have the names of some of the officers. And one of the officers has passed away. And his property has been dug through like you can't believe. But we'll get to that later. He takes a swing at one of the officers. My theory is that it was Jay Seyfried, but I could be wrong. Jay left police and law enforcement just a few months after Randy disappeared and moved to Illinois, where he lives now. And he is retired, but yet works as a tax preparer for a large nationwide company. And I tried to contact him, but he has not contacted me back. I will also let you know I tried to contact the Kentucky State Police, which has Randy's case now. They're in charge of that because of probably something I did, which is call the FBI and let them know.
Yes, you should listen to the last one we did on this. It's an exciting story, folks. I'll link to the prior episodes in the show notes.
Okay. I feel like people can go look and research themselves, because again, I am putting this out to the hive mind, to crowdsourcing, and I am a bigger proponent of crowdsourcing at this moment than I've ever been in my life, because of some of the cases we've covered recently that have gotten phone calls and emails to the proper law enforcement on things that may or may not pan out, that could or could not be helpful. And I really couldn't be more grateful to you tipsters. I have to just say a special thank you to tipster Angela for her hard work, and some other tipsters that have emailed and called, and we're grateful. And there are many times you can do this anonymously. And I know, we all know, that there are people out there that know what happened to Randy and have something that could help break this case open, not just small town gossip. Because I have done a 180, and that I thought it's uncomfortable that the last people to report seeing him are the police. It's uncomfortable to hear that. It's also uncomfortable when a narcissistic, lying serial killer takes credit for killing Randy. And
it's really maddening.
Yeah, that's really the worst, because I feel many years, decades have gone by because of his horrible behavior, because they spent a lot of time, effort, money, energy looking at that ridiculous theory that is ridiculous in every way, shape, and form. So let's go back again on August 15th. You hear August 15th, 16th, 17th. So I was always under the impression that it was August 16th, a Saturday, that Randy went to the fair. He may have gone on the 15th. I'm now confused because of so many, I have some police records here, but I also have lots of things in the news, and I don't know which is right. So I'm going to go with the fact that it was on the 16th. On Saturday the 16th, he went to the Kenton County Fair. So he was reported missing the following day when his parents came back home. His mother and stepfather came home, and he did not ever come home. I also cannot locate the fact that his mother and stepfather filed a complaint against the Kenton County Police at one point. So at one point, they were convinced that the Kenton County Police knew more than they were saying, or at the very least were completely culpable in letting a juvenile out of a juvenile that they felt was impaired, let him out of the car to wander home and into harm's way. Or that never happened and he met harm through them. So at one point, Mrs. Cotton and Mr. Cotton, Randy's mother and stepfather, filed the complaint against the people that last reported seeing him. And they should have. I don't know if it was dismissed or what happened, but I do know there was an official complaint filed against the Kenton County Police. So in the interview with Detective Jones, who had Randy's case at the time, February of 2019 was when we interviewed him. He said, looking back, it's odd, and there were things that happened that couldn't be done now, and it was 1980 and things were done differently. I get it. We're talking about a very small police force. We're talking about a rural area. We're talking about a kid who was known to them. So the fact that one of the excuses, and there are as many excuses from the Kenton County Police as there are changes in story and excuses from the serial killer. So who do we believe? Do we believe a police agency where their stories change? Or do we believe a serial killer who is a known liar and said he killed anywhere from 40 to 70 people? The numbers, the stories all change. Who do you believe? Do you believe anyone anymore? I don't know who to believe anymore, but I can tell you what, I don't believe the Kenton County Police anymore at all, as far as I can throw them. And I'm not really good at throwing. So they're not going to go far if I throw them. So the Kenton County Police picked up two patrolmen, picked up Randy for drunken disorderly, and he took a swing at him. He hit one of them in the head, and they called for backup. So they got another car with two other officers and a screen between the front and back seat, so he couldn't hit them. I'm going to stop here and say I have been called a lot of things lately because I do have great respect for law enforcement. Great respect. And I don't care what you think about that. I have had people on social media call me a bootlicking cop lover. Yeah, you know what? I'll take that. You know what I am? I'm a people lover. I love people who are good and do the right thing. Those are the people I love. And in my opinion, most police officers do the right thing and get into the business for the right reasons. There are absolutely awful police officers. There are absolutely awful bus drivers. There's probably some real shitty yoga teachers. But you know what? I don't know a lot of those. I don't run into those a lot because I think it's a smaller group than is being portrayed. So these police officers, I don't think were real good. I'm just going to say that. Not real good. And if you swing on one of them and hit him in the head, they're probably not going to take too kindly to a 17-year-old boy that they think is a punk, that they have had interactions with and pretending that they don't know him. So one of the excuses is that they take him home and as a favor to Randy, drop him off a mile from his home. As a favor. Because you're going to want to do a lot of favors for a kid who hit you in the head, right? That's the first thing you want to do, is a favor for this kid. So they don't take him somewhere to dry him out. They don't take him to the local jail. They don't do anything that is normally procedural, what you would do, even with a juvenile. They know his parents. It's 1980, so there's not cell phones, but there are phones and addresses. You can find his parents. So as a favor to Randy, because these benevolent police officers are doing such a great thing, they drop an inebriated, impaired juvenile a mile from his home so he can walk it off as a favor to Randy because he doesn't want his stepfather to know he's drunk. So that's the first story. The second story is, Randy gave us the wrong address. We couldn't find where he lived. We drove around. He kept giving us different addresses and we drove him around and finally we just let him out. Oh, okay. That one makes just as much sense that you let out of your custody a juvenile who you say is drunk and impaired and won't give you his address. So why don't you take him to jail? You take him to a rural area and drop him off like, hey, kid, you're not going to give me your address. I'm leaving you right here by a railroad trestle. Good luck with that. Yeah, well done, officers. Well done. Or you beat the shit out of him and it went too far and he's dead. And you did something terrible with him. And I don't know what it would be. But I can tell you he's not in the Licking River. He did not, nothing of his floated up, came up. I think he's buried a lot deeper than a river could be. I don't know where that would be. Or he was, disposed of in some terrible way that I can't even imagine. But I can tell you that Jay Seyfried left the force a few months after this incident. Russell England, who passed away in 2014 or 2016, his yard has been dug up numerous times because they received 2 tips that Randy was buried in his property in a hayfield on Rich Road on his property. They've dug it up several times. Randy's not there. And Paul Fansteel, who still lives in the area, he was on the force. So we have those 3 names. And I'm saying them now. You know why? Because I don't care anymore. Those names we know for sure were there or somehow know what happened. If they weren't there exactly at the same time, they know what happened. With Russell England having passed, we only have these 2 names, or I only have these 2 names. There are probably other people who are looking into this who have all the names. And I don't mean law enforcement. I mean private citizens. I know a private citizen has purchased Russell England's property and has done quite a few digs himself looking for Randy's remains. And that's, you can call it dedication or you can call it an obsession. I don't care. Either way, if you're obsessed or dedicated and you find Randy, that is fantastic. I don't care what you do to get to do this. They're apparently dealing with different agencies in different counties trying to get help. So let's go over the alternate theories. that Donald Leroy Evans, who was a drifter, killed only women, mostly black women, and only a few, not the 40, 60, or 70 he said that he had killed. They were younger, they were homeless, and they were in parks. And he strangled them. He didn't shoot them. But somehow in 1980, he's drifting his way through Kentucky. He confessed to 4 other murders in Kentucky, 2 couples, by the way. And one was in Ford, Kentucky, and the other one I don't know. I have to find out where that was. But he confessed to 5 murders in Kentucky, one being Randy, and the other 4 being these 2 couples that he killed in cars. In their cars. By the way, no reports of couples ever being found in cars or having been murdered and being unidentified. So that's bullshit. He said he was driving along Kentucky Route 177 and saw at 10 o'clock at night and saw, Randy Sellers hitchhiking. And he talks to him about camping. Now, Randy wasn't maybe book smart, but he was real street smart. And he probably wouldn't get in a car with a 30-year-old man who said, "Hey, do you know where I can camp around here?" And then drive him 30 miles south to Kincaid Lake State Park.
Yeah, no.
Where Donald Leroy Evans is trying out his MO, a different one than typically strangling and murdering black female homeless women that he finds in parks and rest areas, and puts the gun close to Randy's temple, shoots him just to see what it's like to kill someone, and then buries him in a shallow grave that he dug with a piece of sheet metal in a park that's filled with limestone that he could not have dug through. And yet, this is considered a credible confession. He's in a prison that does not allow him to smoke, so he confesses again to a lot of murders that he, it is proven that he did not commit. And he says, "I'm not going to give you any more information until I'm allowed to smoke in my prison." And the prison warden had outlawed smoking in the prison he was in. He is brought after a hand-drawn map that is looked at by a park ranger and said, nobody could draw this map unless they have been here. No one could have drawn this map as correctly as this unless they had been there. I am actually looking at a picture of the map that was printed in the Cincinnati Enquirer on October 8th of 1995. And it is it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And this map was considered credible because a park ranger said so. Now, how credible is it that 38 and a half years later, last year, in 2019, they decide that the map had been upside down the entire time? It was so credible. It was so credible that, oh no, it was credibly upside down. Let's turn it this way. When another park ranger has time over the winter of 2018, 2019 to look at the map closer and realizes in his mind it's been upside down for 38 and a half years.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
So Kincaid Lake State Park is 800 acres. They have looked at approximately 200 acres of the 800-acre state park. They are concentrating on areas near the roadways because it's softer ground and hillsides that might be easier for Donald Leroy Evans to have buried someone, except for the fact that that didn't happen. But God bless them. They have used, I can't even tell you the number of times, I'm going to say close to 10 times they have used scent dogs from other parts of the state and maybe even from other states that have come in. And the thing is, scent dogs typically need to have a scent to go on to find something else. And a wonderful detective at the time who was handling Randy's case, I think it was maybe 2006, he said, I don't, this is worse than looking for a needle in a haystack. We don't even know where the haystack is. And that, I think, is the best way to describe this futile search in Kincaid Lake State Park. It's, human bones decay after a while. Yes, they can leave a scent many, many years later. Detective Jones last year, when I was yelling at him on the phone, corrected me and said, they have search dogs that look up like Civil War graves. And I'm like, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. But this is bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. So Donald Leroy Evans says, hey man, drunk teenager walking in a rural area I just happened upon. Hey man, you know where I can go camping? Let me take you to Kincaid Lake State Park, 30 miles away, because there's no camping between there and Randy's house where he picked him up, apparently, or the street Randy lives on, the road. And then he, puts a .45 caliber pistol to his temple. I want to muffle the sound. Okay. And then I'm going to dig a grave with a piece of sheet metal that, was right, just conveniently right by where I killed
Just
Randy.
happened to be there.
Yeah. in some limestone.
We talked about this last time. I mean, it's clear that he just wanted an excuse to get out. He wanted an excuse to get out of prison for a while and have a field trip.
Thank you.
And have a couple of cigarettes out.
Yep.
And
you know what happened?
Shit.
This wonderful detective who at the time had Randy's case and was, doing his due diligence. He was checking every tip and piece of information that came in, even from someone like Donald Leroy Evans, who is a known liar. And he has him brought up in a van, and he said it was like seeing someone deliver Hannibal Lecter to the park. They bring Donald Leroy Evans in a van with, an escort up to Kincaid Lake State Park, and this detective walks over to the van and opens the door to introduce himself. And do you know what Donald Leroy Evans says to him?
I can't wait.
Fuck you.
Great.
And that's it. That's the last thing he said. He wouldn't get out of the van. He wouldn't tell them anything else. He wouldn't, nothing. He said, fuck you. He said 2 words, fuck you. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And on all of that, they're basing this huge search, and
to this day.
It's unbelievable.
To this day.
Yeah. So, what we're saying, folks, is it wasn't Donald Leroy Evans.
Well,
okay.
Here's something that bothers me, and one of the detectives said, he's very intelligent. We talk to him a lot, and he talks and talks, and you get 30 seconds of information for every 30 minutes that you interview him. I don't think he was intelligent. I don't think he was highly intelligent. I think he was a crafty narcissist. He isn't intelligent. This is a man who asked that his name be changed legally in court proceedings. He wanted to be addressed as High Hitler because he thought that's what
that. Oh my God.
Yeah. High,
oh my God.
High Hitler. Not Heil, but High. Like, hi, Hitler.
Yeah, there's... Sorry,
yeah, so he's intelligent.
I should not laugh, but the thing is, you're absolutely right about this. You can be crafty and know how to hide what you're doing, and still be pretty fucking stupid.
Well, yes, and I can't imagine the frustration of detectives over the years, and there have been many, who are handling Randy's case and have to run down every lead that comes in. This detective said, he could have learned Randy's name from any number of accounts, in the news, because every year there's an anniversary and we're constantly searching for him. Even this detective said, he could have learned about Randy from anything, from any place, from anywhere, but he told us enough that we have to pursue it. It's not enough to tell the family we don't believe him. We have to pursue every lead. And that's the kind of detective you want on your case, that guy, not the guy that, potentially kills a kid and covers it up. You want the guy who's like, we have to run down every lead, even if it's this kind of bullshit. And
I guess, yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
And they're right. These detectives who did this, they're right. I mean, there's this article from the Louisville Courier-Journal, April 11th of 1995, that said, smoking ban seals the lips of accused serial killer. So at the time, Donald Leroy Evans, was prosecuted for one young African-American girl and then a second one. And his third victim was not even identified until 2006 after he had been, shivved in prison in 1999. So, thanks so much to Jimmy Mack, who killed him in 1999, because he got to take all of his terrible secrets with him. It was, I get it. Someone like that deserves to be shivved in a prison shower. Sorry, not sorry. But I'm angry that, this happened when it did. And I don't know that he would have given up anything else, but what I would have liked is for him to have said, I made it up. I don't know that he would have given up any other victims, because I don't know that there were any other victims. He absolutely used what little brains he had to get what he wanted. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And he was apparently unhappy with the way he had been treated on his ride up to the Kenton County Police Department and to Kincaid Lake State Park. So that's why, he won't get out of the van and says two really wonderful words to the detective who goes up to introduce himself. Hi, nice to meet you. Fuck you.
Great. Yeah, I'm just, yeah. Yeah, I just, so how do we, I guess we just really need to appeal to the tipsters out there to pay attention. I mean, there were 3 police officers.
At least 3, if not 4.
At least 3. And
one's gone, 2 are still alive.
And it could have been any of them that were involved in this. Or all 3 of, or all 4 of them. In one way or another.
Maybe none.
Or maybe none. But the focus on Donald Leroy Evans has just been, it's been driving me crazy. It seems like every article you read about it, that's what the focus is.
Well, I can tell you that there are more confessions on the books that are false confessions than you can imagine. There are more false confessions on the books than I can imagine. I don't understand. I mean, I get why someone like Donald Leroy Evans does this, because he wants to make his legacy bigger and badder than it was. Confessing to, it depends on what you read, 40, 60, or 70 unsolved homicides across the United States, wanting to make himself, he actually called himself the most successful serial killer in the United States.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's what he called himself. And using that to get out of something, or using information you can find in articles to get cigarettes, to have some smokes, or get a field trip out of your awful, shitty prison you're in that you don't like. Using that, I get it. I understand why a monster would do that. The ones that I don't understand are the confessions where someone may have been, maybe they have a mental health issue. Maybe they, like John Mark Carr, who confessed to killing John Benet Ramsey, but was in Vietnam at the time. So, but he said he was in the room with her and saw her die. And I think he meant astral projecting. I don't really know. But there's a lot of false confessions on the books, a lot of them. And no one has confessed to killing Randy that isn't an asshole. No one has said, I killed him accidentally, I ran over him, he died on the side of the road, no remains are found. No, none of that has happened. There were boot prints on the Licking River that actually ended up coming back to being a family member of Randy's that was looking for him. They weren't Randy's boots, even though they could have been because they were similar. We know from the Boone County Water Rescue, they searched 2 weeks for Randy, and there was nothing in the Licking River. I don't believe he was ever in the river. I don't believe he was ever in Kincaid Lake Park. I don't know that he's buried on Russell England's property or any other person who was a patrolman at the time in 1980. I don't know where Randy is. But one thing I do know, someone knows, and I'm going to guess more than one someone. And I have to say that Mrs. Cotton is the sole focus as to why this case deserves so much to be solved. Not just for Randy, to bring Randy home, but Mrs. Cotton, this mother of 2, who lost her second son 10 years later, who jumped off of a bridge into the Licking River because he thought that's where his brother was. 10 years later, Ty...
I forgot about that. That is awful.
Yeah, Ty thinks that his older brother is in the Licking River, that's where his last resting place was, and he wanted to be with his brother. I know there were other issues, but the biggest one is that his brother had been missing since 1980. He took off his boots and jumped off the bridge. And it took 4 months to recover Ty, but they did recover Ty. And now Mrs. Cotton has lost 2 sons to the same incident, to the same killer or killers who killed her first son. They basically are responsible for the death of her second son. And Mrs. Cotton didn't just sit around and file a complaint against the Kenton County Police and, cry and wring her hands. She is a warrior, and she put together many things, but a conference on missing children that, John Walsh attended. She fights every year, more than just once a year, for missing and murdered children. She fought for laws to be put in place to protect children that are missing. And part of her outreach eventually became NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. She has done so much work building teams to help, ECHO, the Exploited Children Help Organization. She provides peer support for people whose children are missing. Mrs. Cotton is a warrior, is the only word. I mean, she is a true warrior. And last year, after another unsuccessful search of Kincaid Lake by some students at a university from Maryland and their instructor, Mrs. Cotton and Mr. Cotton, who are getting older and having some health issues, they went before the press for the first time in 39 years and spoke about it. And this is what Wanda says.
It's been almost 39 years. My heart still aches.
Wanda Cotton will never stop trying to find out what happened to her son, Randy Sellers.
I just would like to find Randy. If it's just a phone, I need to know.
Wanda Cotton deserves so much more than a bone of her missing son. So much more than a bone. She deserves all of him back. And more importantly, she deserves an explanation as to what happened and why. And I know there is at least one, if not many more people who know what happened to Randy Sellers. And if you have an inkling of an idea, anything at all that you think may not even be important, but really could be, please call the Kentucky State Police at 859-428-1212. That's 859-428-1212. And more cowbell.